Shao Kahn, bow to me.
Greetings, combatants. Today's video is one I've been looking to do for some time now. It's official. It's one of the biggest Shao Kahn fans out there, and he has an interesting perspective, and I would like to go over this video and many others of discussion. So, without further ado, let us begin.
It's official.
A common question and criticism of the plot of MK9 produced by NetherRealm Studios is how Shao Kahn managed to get away from Onaga after the intro of Armageddon clearly showed him getting taken away to engage in what was presumed to be his last battle. Now, there is a canonical explanation for what happened between Armageddon and MK9. Dominic Chancholo confirmed that each game from MK vs. DC to MK11 take place in a separate timeline, meaning that each game in the NetherRealm era takes place in a separate timeline from each other. While this is obviously just a desperate attempt to bandage a long broken story, it technically does explain a lot of things.
Yeah, technically it does, but technically it's still bad writing, and they should really put more thought and concentration into making the story more seamless.
Particularly inconsistencies that crop up between games. As a result,
Speaking of inconsistencies that pop up between games, we just saw one sitting on that throne over there. The inconsistency of how his character went from a cunning tactical genius to a brute.
the answer to the present dilemma is simple. The Shao Kahn we see in Armageddon's intro likely gets dragged off by Onaga and killed, leaving Taven to secure the victory against Blaze and stalemating Armageddon. Whereas
It's possible he does get dragged off and killed, but it's also possible he could have survived. He is known for his brutality, his tactical efficiency, and his am I trying to sound the subject? And his cunning, adaption. Yeah, cunning or adaption.
the Armageddon intro we see in MK9 is a different timeline where those events didn't occur, and Onaga likely got killed some other way, leaving Kahn to secure the victory and claim the power of Blaze. But, ignoring the canon explanation, what if I pose an alternative? In fact, what if I were to boldly posit that Onaga wouldn't stand a chance against Shao Kahn in a straight fight? Think I'm crazy? Let's talk about it. First off, let's talk about how Onaga originally died. In Mortal Kombat's lore, it's well known that Onaga was the original ruler of Outworld. Shao Kahn was assigned to be its protector god and personal advisor to the Dragon King. Onaga became obsessed with immortality, and Kahn wanted to expand Outworld and wage a multidimensional war against the realms. These differences eventually led to Kahn deciding to take matters into his own hands, poisoning the Outworld Emperor, leaving him weakened enough to take him on in combat and claim Onaga's life in the process, after which he sacrificed his divine status to become Outworld's new emperor and began his conquest. Regarding Shao Kahn, with the
That is very likely a possibility, but we also have to go over the topic of discussion that goes into Onaga. Well, I don't know if we explicitly ever stated this before, or I explicitly ever stated this before, but Onaga is from the race of dragons. And if you look deeper into the way the dragons are, and you look deeper into Onaga's character, you'll realize he's a very violent and sadistic individual. His overall consumption, which is how dragons gain strength by constantly consuming others, the flesh of others, so they basically devour any victim. And Onaga in Deception stated that his rule was fair and just, but are we really to believe his word on that? By his perspective, his rule could be very much fair and just, but is that truly the factor that goes into what the people or what Kahn may have been seeing as a result? I think it's fair to say that his rule was not fair and just, and anyone who spoke out against his tyrannical rule most likely got consumed by him or something along the lines. We have to take into his perspective that the dragons were a very violent race of individuals that Kahn battled for ages, so yeah, it's a part of the thing. Kahn is such a devout and warlike individual because he throughout his entire time of being a protector has done nothing but fight against violent races who seek to consume or destroy or overthrow or take control of the entire realm for their own malicious purposes. So we can see why Kahn would establish himself as ruler, because he was molded into a brutal individual who had to constantly fight through wars and ages of conflict. So, unlike Raiden, who had a very easy time as a protector, he didn't have to deal with such violence and destruction. That's my perspective on the matter.
The loss of his god status, he had to find another way to gain strength, and that's where his expertise in soul magic comes in. To put it into context, Shao Kahn can devour the souls of whomever he targets with his magic, and in doing so will gain their combat knowledge and experiences. He's so adept at this power that he can casually wave his hand and consume billions of souls on Earth during the events of MK3. He likely either already had this ability when he became Onaga's advisor, or learned it not too long after, given it's his central gimmick, outside of his brutish strength and giant warhammer. The point being that the moment Kahn began his conquest, he started consuming the souls of fallen warriors, both friend and foe, accumulating their strengths with none of their weaknesses to build up his own. He would become so powerful that it took the combined strength of the Elder Gods imbued into the Lesser God of Thunder, Raiden, to defeat him in the ending of Mortal Kombat 9. In the case of the original timeline, he survived what were presumably fatal battles not once, not twice, but 3 separate times, utilizing his excessive durability and cunning. This power would eventually,
if we're counting the Armageddon intro as a part of it, then we're going to be counting 4 times of him surviving. I am not stating that Kahn is a better ruler. I think he is a better ruler than Onaga, but that is besides the point. Kahn's rule is very much similar, except that Onaga is more brutal than him in certain ways. I think I would definitely want to go into a discussion video about how their rule over the realm differed, and that can be a discussion for another day. But as of right now, we must go into the aspects that really make this important, as Kahn never acts like his rule is fair or just. Well, the people seem to like him more from what we've seen throughout the games, but at the same time we also have to consider the factor that he is still an emperor and he is still brutal, but he's cunning, tactical, and efficient with the way he does things. He was great at hyping up the crowds and always gave them something to look forward to and something to strive for. So in certain ways I make the assumption that he is a better ruler than the Dragon King, because the Dragon King is still very much a dragon who is very much violent. While he is probably the smartest dragon we will ever see in the series, he is still brutal and sadistic in many ways. Now the argument really, on my perspective, is we're going off of the original games. I do not think his NRS comparison, his NRS counterpart can actually defeat the Dragon King in combat. I only stand the terms and believe that the Midway version can.
Eventually result in what was considered the greatest conquest of his career, that being the subjugation and merging of the realm of Edenia. In addition, if you consider the comics, which were written by John Tobias, it's possible to interpret certain lines of dialogue to imply Shao Kahn's strength is directly tied to the size of his realm. This could imply that the reason Outworld is so barren and lifeless is that Shao Kahn strips the realm of its life and vitality in order to fuel his own power. This could also be a potential explanation for how Shao Kahn can lose to Liu Kang in the Outworld tournament, and then go on to make Elder God-infused Raiden struggle in the MK9 finale. Basically, Shao Kahn is powered by the equivalent of multiple universes smashed together in addition to the billions of souls he's consumed conquering realms since becoming Emperor, a true powerhouse of a warrior. Onaga returned in Deception.
Okay, so side note for a second before we continue. So I think this topic of discussion with the prequel comic is very interesting, discussing the fact that he stripped the realm of its life and vitality. It makes sense as a brutally efficient way to make the people more devoted to you and make them more loyal to you. If you strip the realm of the life and vitality and make yourself the life and vitality of the realm itself, then you are ensuring that the people remain loyal to you, and the resources can be shortened, but we do know Outworld has an abundance of resources at its disposal, so the devotion to him is definitely seen throughout this.
To inflict great devastation. After manipulating the game's protagonist, Shujinko, to collect all of the Kami Dogu and gather them all to the Nexus for his resurrection, he revealed his plan and took the relics to confront the Deadly Alliance and Raiden as seen in the intro. Shujinko's arcade ending is also the canon ending to the game's story. In it, it's revealed he collected the accumulated power and fighting ability of each of the game's fighters, not counting Shao Kahn and Goro, who were GameCube exclusives, thus allowing him to overpower Onaga, who was being amped by the Kami Dogu, and ultimately defeat him. Both of them have some pretty solid showings, and while Onaga doesn't have nearly as much content as Shao Kahn, what he gets tells us all we need to know. He was so powerful the combined might of the forces that took out Liu Kang and Shao Kahn, supposedly, and the protector god of Earth were no match for him. So this discussion should be put to bed with that, right? Wrong. Everything I just said about Shao Kahn and how he accumulated power over the centuries, enough that he could oppose Elder God-infused Raiden, is arguably the most insane feat we've seen to date. Kronika is supposedly the most powerful entity in the...
I say the most insane feat up today is the Midway version winning the Battle of Armageddon. That's just me. I heavily lean to supporting the Midway version of the character overall, and always will continue to view him as the greatest version of the character ever depicted. When it comes to adaptations of the character, well, what else is there to say? You got the Legends, Defenders, and Conquest. Which Conquest is clearly the best version of the adaptations, which really add a lot to the character and really show the way he was written back in the day, showing how certainly powerful and cunning he was. And spoilers for an eventual video I'm going to be releasing, which is called the best WV version of the character Shao Kahn. It's the Legends movies. It's not even a comparison. It's the Legends movies, and I'll be explaining specifically why when I get into the video.
Series just below the one being, but all it took to gain enough power to beat her was the combined strength of two Liu Kangs across different timelines and Raiden's divinity. Compared to all of the Elder Gods' power put together into a singular being, it's quite a collection of powers. Whatever you think of Liu Kang and his chosen oneness, two Liu Kangs and Raiden aren't taking on all of the Elder Gods put together. Meanwhile, Shao Kahn just nonchalantly laughed off their efforts to kill him, and it required a full-on fight in order to wear him down to the degree that they could actually finish finish him off and destroy him for good. And this is considering that in the MK9 version of the timeline, Shao Kahn had actually failed to acquire the Souls of Earth as the Soulnado was stopped, meaning he was just as powerful in the final fight with Raiden as he was when he fought Liu Kang in the Outworld tournament, unless you consider the comic panel where he implies his strength is directly related to the size of Outworld, as he had successfully...
Yeah, we're considering that. Well, for the Midway version, we assume the NRS version is the same thing, but, you know, the NRS version is very much hard to determine when it comes down to it. There are way too many inconsistencies, and we cannot confirm many things with the NRS version that we can confirm with the Midway version. So, yeah, my point stands.
Managed to merge realms by that point. But there's also one more point to consider. Onaga in Armageddon isn't the same Onaga from Deception. In that game, he had been resurrected by using Reptile as a host body. His original body was still dead, and he further enhanced his power with the Kamidogu, making him near invincible. However, in Armageddon, he was resurrected in his original body by Shinnok, the one that he was originally killed by Shao Kahn in. Now, we don't know exactly how powerful Shao Kahn was before losing his divinity to become the Emperor of Outworld, but we know he was strong enough to defeat a weakened Onaga. His ending in MK Deception implies that the first time he killed him was the result of an intense battle where he fell victim to his advisor's trickery, so he was strong enough to take him on direct combat, and if we assume Onaga was killed in a similar way depicted in the ending, it could mean he went into that battle against Onaga at full strength and later worked him down to a weaker state in order to finish him off. Speaking of that ending, despite being non-canon, we can still use it as a basis to consider what could have happened in a potential battle between the two. Shao Kahn had been weakened ever since his defeat in MK3, and he used the last of his power to escape death at the hands of the Deadly Alliance and saving Goro from certain death, incurring a blood debt from the Shao Kahn Prince to guarantee his loyalty. In the ending, Shao Kahn is fully revitalized and enters Outworld's throne room to face Onaga without any of the enhancements Shujinko had, and could still damage him with blows from his hammer, enough so to send him staggering into Goro's poisoned blades, which results in his death. So if we consider this was a possible event that could feasibly happen, which I would argue so for previously stated reasons, what does that mean for their reunion in Armageddon? Simply that Onaga wouldn't actually stand a chance. I think it's safe to say that Shao Kahn, by the time he wages mortal combat against Earthrealm, is much more powerful than the average lesser god. A potential fight between him and Raiden likely wouldn't end well. After all, Shinnok didn't want to make a move until his invasion had played out and planted moles within his ranks to ensure things went the way he wanted it to. In other words, Shao Kahn is more powerful now than he ever was in the past, including when he served as Onaga's advisor. Meanwhile, the Dragon King's power had stunted. He was killed whilst enhanced by the Kamidogu and only got another chance at life thanks to Shinnok. In addition, during the scene where the villains come together to create Shinnok's alliance in Armageddon, Shao Kahn has no problem sitting boldly in his throne room right in front of Onaga and correcting him when he tries to claim the title of Outworld's Emperor. This would have to imply a strong level of confidence that if Onaga made a move, Kahn could deal with him. Onaga had failed to amplify his strength while Kahn spent millenniums cultivating his own, and I think that in a battle between a Shao Kahn that's much more powerful than he's ever been, and an Onaga who is just as strong as when he died the first time, the outcome is all but decided from the jump, and it's not who you think it would be. Shao Kahn would rip him to pieces, and then, in fact, make his way back to the pyramid to continue the Battle of Armageddon. With the information I just laid out, is that outcome really as unlikely as you think? Let me know what you think, and if you agree or disagree, be sure to say so in the comments. It's been a while since I talked about MK, so if you're still interested in this sort of content, let the numbers reflect that. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.
All these ages you have fought me. You denied me my rightful claim.
Whining.
Not this time.
Outstanding.
Always classic. Well, what else do I have to say? His points are very valid, and I definitely agree full-heartedly with everything he just stated. This is very accurate to how he was depicted originally, and I definitely think he was able to accomplish many of the things that this official is claiming. I definitely do believe that he is capable, especially when it comes to the Armageddon. The Midway count version of the character is capable of Onaga in combat. I definitely think he can do it. He just probably takes advantage of injuries he inflicts. Like probably wounds him during the fight and crashes him down so he can take advantage and defeat him in combat. I definitely think that's exactly what happened, and you can disagree if you wish with my opinion, but that's the opinion I go for. Kahn is a significantly powerful and threatening character, and in all honesty, this is an accurate representation of him in general. Like, we're talking about the midway version, the one that was so cunning and skillful, the one who was so tactical and intelligent that he was able to overcome so many things that were thrown at his way, and he survived death many times. He was feared and intimidating, and there's many things that go behind that characterization and level of attacks, and I definitely believe he is more than capable of pulling off such feats. Now, not everyone has to agree with me on this, but you don't. It's the way I see it. I really respect the character and will continue to do so. We'll have more talks about this in further videos, but in true understanding, I believe that the character is more than capable of it. We have to take into effect that he was very calm and tactical and really fought so, which the NRS version is not, as I will be highlighting in later videos, is that the NRS version is extremely whiny and always blaming his failures on everyone else. The midway version takes more into account and actually thinks. He actually feels like a character who has been alive for over 5 million years. He actually feels properly incarnated. So that is the point I've been making. It's official, is definitely a fan of the character, and I definitely do appreciate his videos. We are going to be talking about more of his videos coming up because he's done more. So without further ado, thank you all for watching, and if you like this content, please feel like and subscribe if you
I
don't.
win.
I appreciate you watching anyways, and as always, God bless you all. See you in the next video.